And their comment was, well, we'd like to start off with $100,000.
This is the 70s?
Yeah.
This was the late 70s.
Okay, now let me ask you something. I mean, just to put perspective, what was the commission?
Outside of dropping my jaw down and not understanding,
Pick
saying,
yourself up off the
I'm
floor.
used to a $10 a month or $25. I thought that was really great when I got $25. What about a $50?
What was your compensation on that?
Shoot, I can't even remember. All I know is more than I could ever imagine.
Was it more than you'd made in the year before?
Oh, yes.
So in one day, you made more than you did the whole year beforehand. So okay.
And still, you know,
That's the taste.
if you're
That's
going,
the taste.
if you can appreciate this, you're in there and they're saying $100,000, and if your draw dropped all the way down to the inch here, would they want to give you $100,000?
No.
So what did you have to do?
You had to stand there and look
Yeah.
cool.
Like you've been there before.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going in there, so I said, so you'd like to start. I said just that. You'd like to start. Is that what you said with $100,000? He says, yeah, we'll just start with $100,000. And I didn't, I thought, I might have the wrong application.
You know.
Oh, I've so been there. Like,
Right.
did that just work?
Yeah.
Did they still say that?
And I was thinking, I have these, you know, the application, I'm going, I don't know if I have the right, I didn't say it out loud. I just
Yeah.
said, I don't know if I have the right application.
You know, it's funny
For that.
you talk about stuff like that. I remember I was trained by another guy, kind of old school guy, and he was up there talking about this lesson. He said, when you're in the home, and now this is back totally non-compliant now, so I wouldn't recommend this, but he said, and same period of time, 50s, 60s, 70s, right there, and he was there. I was knocking on a door, and I got this lady to sign an application, and it's like, I can't remember what it was for, and I looked down, and I had sold her this product. I didn't have the application with me. So I grabbed one from another company, filled it out, had her sign that, and I said, oh, there's another form here, I'm gonna have to come back and have you re-sign. No problem. So he went home, took the information off the application that was totally wrong, and went back and had her do it.
Can you imagine compliance and suitability? And
Oh my
today
word.
you would be,
You'd be so, I mean, you'd burned at the
You
stake.
wouldn't have a license anymore.
No, but I mean, but it's that kind of a thing. But I mean, so you're sitting there dumbfounded, $100,000, probably.
and I honestly believe that the number was 8%.
Okay, so $8,000, which what was the average annual income at that point in time for somebody out on the street?
You know, that I probably can't remember because
35,000.
Not even that.
Yeah.
Not even that. It would.
it was just,
I mean, you could buy a new home in the late '70s for $30,000.
yeah.
So, I mean,
But
it was-
just imagine, they said they'd like to start. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Start with 100,000. That's why I said back. So you'd like to start with the 100,000.
Now let's go ahead. Let's break down some stereotypes here. What kind of a home was this? Was this an upper scale neighborhood? Was it a low end, like a more of a more humble area? Was it just middle of the road America? What was the neighborhood?
It was one of those that I had knocked on a door
Uh-huh.
and they said to come back. How many, you know,
Yeah.
what is the odds of that, first of all?
You can't even do it.
I
Yeah.
can't. And then I would do the telephone calls to get my appointments. And, you know, I had an actual presentation. And what do you think I adhered to in that presentation? The fundamentals. What do you think I did? Did I ever leave, you know, go stray that?
No, you see, if I'm knowing anything from you, it's fundamentals matter. So stick
Absolutely
to the
did
fundamentals.
it. When I knocked on the door, I had my little script. Do you think I ever did anything different?
No.
No. So everything was so fundamentals, but when I saw that, I knew it was duplicatable. And so with this client, I wrote down, and I didn't really understand what they meant by start. Mm-hmm. So I used an application because this interest rate that was being paid, and the manager said, try this because no one has this interest rate. And so I said, well, we can use this interest rate. And they said, we'd like to do that because we can't get that at the bank. I can't get it here. I can't get it from my broker. We'll do that interest rate. So I thought I was filling out a single premium annuity, which means it's a one pay.
Right.
When I got back to the office, I had filled out a flexible premium deferred annuity. Now, what is the difference?
Well, flexible premium means you can pay more stuff. But again, I'm not familiar with these products because they don't exist anymore like that. So literally, I was in like fourth grade, third grade when this was going on. So kind of explain to us.
So I do an application, and I thought it was a single premium for X amount of interest rate, the 8% or whatever it was. It was the 8% was the compensation, the commission. And I learned no longer to use commission. They changed me over. And so again, all these different little fundamental things. And I'd write down every time I was corrected or learned something, I'd write it down, or felt impressed, I'd write it down. So all my originality, it's from inspiration. It wasn't from, Doug McDermott did this. No, Doug McDermott made so many mistakes. He just wrote it down because he was told to write it down and found out, oh my gosh, that works.
Yeah.
So I get compensated instead of the commission. And I see the check. I opened it up and I go, I actually shut it really quick
I
because
bet.
it was in an envelope, because those days, what do you get? You get commission through the mail.
You actually get a check shows up.
A check shows up. I open it up and I didn't know what to do. I just said, this can't be right. So what is 8% of $100,000?
8,000.
A lot of money.
A lot of money. We're going to Disneyland.
Yeah. And I realized that was a lot. And I was thinking, I can do this. Well, that one case was about the middle of the year. I'd start doing just numbers. That was the first big one. And in the agency that I was at, this hybrid captive, they would just, once a week, they say most of the amount of applications again is Doug. I mean, how boring is this? But these other guys would say, but Doug, all of these, you didn't even make as much as this one.
Right.
I kept on being told that. Do you think that slowed me down?
No.
Because I knew if I kept on doing numbers, what do you think might happen?
You just get better and better
Oh,
and better. Eventually,
always.
And the skill, because you were doing how many? I once got to a point I was doing more than the agency. This was just me. Mm-hmm. But what were they doing?
Fewer, bigger.
And they finally, after a while, some of them just said, Doug, what in the world are you doing? He says, here's this. If I did this, I would stop in 2 years. I would never have to work again if I did the numbers with these size. And I didn't understand any of that because no one was
teaching you on that.
Yeah, no one. So I just had to get over it. Well, here's what happened. So I get this check and think about it. It's in the summertime. And I deposited it. We got pretty nervous because I was always told about chargebacks. So I was going, if I got a chargeback on this.
It ended your career at that point in time.
Do more than end my career, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And so holidays come around and I get this envelope from the same insurance company. And I was going, oh no, what did I do wrong? And I opened it up. And it was for the exact same amount.
Oh, they made a second deposit.
But I thought, what?
A chargeback.
The insurance company made a mistake. The first time in my life I ever did this, it was in the evening, so the insurance company was closed, so I couldn't do what?
Call
them.
So how did I
Verify.
feel all night long until the morning?
Panicked.
When morning came, and I knew I was supposed to call, I didn't call him until the noontime. I was just, my heart. And finally, I call him. And I said, first of all, I told him who I was, the policy number, my agent number. And I finally had enough courage to say, you made a mistake. And I have to let you know, I will not cash this check. I'll send it back. I wish it was for real. And this you could tell she was an older lady on the phone. She kept on saying, but, and I said, let me finish because I want you to know I am honorable. I am trying to tell you, you made a mistake. If I cash this check, I would just, I said, I'm going to be burned.
Yeah.
You think of all these things. And this little said, but, until finally it quieted. She says, are you going to be reverent, young man?
So your Sunday school teacher is coming at you.
Right?
Yeah.
So what would you do?
Shut up.
Yes, ma'am.
And I did. And she said, oh no, you wrote a fixed premium deferred annuity that if they put more money in over a period of time, they could lock in that same rate. they called us. He says, they called the insurance company. It's the holiday. And they said, we would like to make another deposit. And they said, what policy number? And she went through this whole story. He says, I know this case because someone brought it over to me.
Wow.
And he says, now, what coincidence would that be? Calling the lady saying,
That wouldn't happen today.
No, that wouldn't.
Okay, so finally, after listening to her, and she said the story, he says, they called, it's over the hall, and they said they didn't want to disturb this young man. He just has this little family, and we want to have this, and we want to just send in a check. They mailed a check to the insurance company with the policy number at the memo
Oh my
area.
gosh.
And it was how much, do you think?
$100,000.
The same 100,000, and so I made another what?
$8,000.
And so that was in a period of how many months? That was a short time, and I was going, I think I can do this.
This is a career. Okay, now let's talk here. We're trying to get short on time here. So I want to go through here. Amazing story. Amazing that it's kind of that we all have a time when like, okay, this works for me. This clicks for me. And actually, real quick, I don't know if you remember my moment with that was I actually called you and I didn't realize I was calling you at 10:30 at night because somehow my owner of my agency, what are you calling Doug at 10:30 at night for? I sold my first big case and I was going to get at my first commission over $25,000. And I was like, do you remember that call? Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was called, like, dude, it works. This works.
Yep. At 10:30, I was still at work, wasn't I?
You answered, and Lori was there. Your wife was there, but I mean, we talked and we visited about it. But I was excited, and then the next day, I was like, did you call Doug last night at late? I was like, well, yeah. Don't call him after midnight or at 10 or whatever time it was. Like, oh, I forgot. Okay, it's fine. Time zones. That's what I think I blame time zones. Yeah. But so you got an amazing start. You had a great thing there. But it didn't stop there. Let's go over the next 20 years. Just take a few minutes to kind of go from there.
I still remember when I did my first $1 million check. Now, I was still in my 20s.
Wow.
That's kind of a nice thing. Now, that was your commission, not
No, that was how much they wrote a check out.
Oh, okay, I was like, if that was on the receiving end, if I had one of those yet, that would be nice.
Could you imagine? Again, I'm now in my later 20s.
Right.
And I asked them what would they, my close, my enrollment was, what would you feel comfortable enrolling into a program today?
Yeah.
Now, how tough of a close is that?
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but it was a system, it was fundamentals. And I asked the same question whenever it was to that point. I'd ask the same thing. And this couple just said, well, we have a pension we want to move. And why not this? This is a great rate. And I said, well, fine. What would you feel comfortable with? He says, well, we're going to move this pension. And they started looking at all the different things that they had. And I was going, well, I'll take anything. That's my mind. That's from asking that first 100,000. And they said, well, we'll do $1 million. Now, again, what are you not supposed to do?
Calculate commissions in your head.
Yeah.
And
$1 million?
Here's what I actually learned because how many small ones? What was I doing?
A lot of small. It's $10, $20, $30 a month.
All right. So were you counting commission?
No.
So what I made a commitment to myself and literally God is that I would never look at compensation. I would serve my clients. And I made that commitment to myself and I made it to God that, I will do everything I can, but I'll never sell something knowing I'm going to make X. I was fortunate enough in my career early, I never did that. And I was able to do that the rest of my life. I just realized if you do what's right, what chances does it come back to you?
Absolutely. Now, let's go ahead. And again, we're starting to get short here. Talk about going from there. And I think you left that organization. You started your own agency.
I did my own agency.
And then talk about that and then the sales, and then going from there and leaving. And give us an overview of your career kind of a thing here.
Well, I went from being independent, from hybrid captive. I was asked if I would be a manager. That was overwhelming, saying, well, I just want you to duplicate and teach other people. And they gave me this age group and they would just start giving me people. I was working with people who were 60 years old, 50 years old. And I asked them, how many years you've been in the business? And they'd give me 10, 15, 20 years. And I'm going, why did you get put in? And they said, because no one is writing the numbers you're writing and you do everything fundamentally correct. And so I went from that and went from an agency And I had an opportunity from a telephone call to even leave being totally self-employed to become a regional vice president for an insurance company, because when these insurance companies would come in, they'd always ask, who does what? They're just saying this or that. My funnest thing, which changed my career, was I won't mention the name and I won't mention the insurance company, but I'll tell you, he was driving a Porsche, and I was selected because of the numbers I was doing. And he said, I select you, we're going out in the field all day. And I was told you had this many appointments. And this guy was the vice president of the company, not a regional vice president, but the vice president. And he went out in his little Porsche. And the first appointment, I did my first appointment, second appointment. And this guy got so condescending. I mean, he was shocked that, first of all, I was writing the numbers I was doing. And the people just said, yes, that makes sense. I'd like to move forward. And so I was writing an app, and we'd go another one. And I was getting my little checks, doing if it was a bank draft or if it was quarterly. And then he'd say, don't ever do it quarterly. And he was telling me all the reasons. He says, but that's what they could afford. And he says, no, don't you do it this way. And I was going, fine. So the last one of the day was a rather large case. And I knew that. And I went in and we started the presentation, and I just felt this overwhelming feeling. And I just smiled, and the clients looked at me as I smiled, and they said, I'm being trained today. Oh, no. And so because of that, I do not want to be disrespectful to my trainer. I'm going to be reverent now, and he's going to train me how to do this correctly. And so I handed the material over, the pen over, and I looked at him and said, I'm looking forward to this.
Okay.
What do you think happened?
I'm going to assume it was a train wreck.
It was worse than the train wreck. We got in his Porsche, and he said, get out of my Porsche. He says, you walk back to the office. I said, it's miles. He said, walk back. What did I learn that changed my entire career? What do you think it was? I knew how to what? Duplicate systems using fundamentals. I found out there's a business opportunity by being able to duplicate, teach others to duplicate, to do fundamentals, and actually see a practice. So I've been independent the entire time, and I had that experience with that vice president. I still know the name of the company. I still remember the color of the Porsche that we went in. I won't mention his name.
You can tell us off camera.
Yeah, that would be really fun. But the walk back to the office was a couple miles. I had my little briefcase with all this applications in it.
Did you guys close that by chance with the vice president?
No, he just.
It was
And I didn't even care that I didn't. It was just so much fun, just watching him destroy himself. Drool all over himself. It was just the best thing ever. Because I won't mention what had happened.
It's all good. Okay.
The threats and things that he did. But
again, future episode. We're gonna have you back regularly. Don't worry about
it
that.
It was just so much fun. I couldn't believe that. I didn't even care how much I lost on that too. The opportunity to serve. But then I had an insurance company call me, because when they would come in, they would say, who would you want me to talk to? And, the different career path. And I had an insurance company actually said, we want to understand. You started scratch, commission only, no draw. They had an agency. Then you went, they were giving me, I said, yes, that's what I did. We would like to interview you for a position that we have for a company position. I said, well, I haven't done that. I could probably learn more. So I went in as a company person for a short time and went in from the bottom. Had a chance to get in the top 10, then the top 5 before I came out and wanted to build the annuity store. A lot of things happened in between there. Companies were sold, and you get all the threats that you're going to be unemployed, and I said, well, unemployed means that's what I started. That's okay with that. And built the annuity store, sold it, and had other opportunities along the way. Actually had an opportunity to be fortunate enough to build products for insurance companies when equity index annuities came out. I'm shortening it, so to work.
We're going to do an episode on the
Yeah.
equity indexed annuities because that is such a huge. You were so pivotal in the industry today.
Yeah.
This stuff, I don't think people realize how significant of a part you play, that a lot of insurance agents aren't familiar of your name and don't realize that, hey, one of the very first one of these products that were ever built, ran through Congress, you're the guy that did it.
Now, I was fortunate to be the first American
Yeah.
to use an American actuarial team. The Canadians brought it out first.
Yeah.
And yet I was so fortunate and blessed to be a part of a team from an insurance company, to be a part of that team, to work with the actuaries, the CPAs, and everyone, the attorneys, and be a part of bringing out an equity index annuities that was completely made by American actuaries for an American company. So I was very fortunate with that, and that this insurance company brought in all of the marketers that they had at the time, and I was the one to show the flip of the coin, to do that.
Yeah. One of the things here before you go there, Kylie, just again, we've been working together for years. You've mentored me on a lot of things over the years, and basically you're kind of the next area of your life. We're going to be working here, and you've done a lot of different things over the years. But for 40 years, you've put this system together. You've trained
Fundamentals.
You've trained Kylie and I, and that is really the backbone of Annuity Fundamentals. That is working and helping agents go through and do that. And that's what this whole company is about. Fundamentals, using this proven system of the last 40 years that has. What's the number of your own personal production?
A lot.
A lot?
I've been very blessed.
Okay, yeah. I think the word starts with a B as in billions.
My name has been part of that. So that means the products I've developed, I have trained, I'm in the billions.
Wow.
All right.
So that's because I was part of that by training people or helping an insurance company with a product. Two of my products did over $1 billion. So that's an accumulation. It's not that I only wrote out applications that were the $1 billion.
He's humble. He's humble.
All right.
Doug, I mean, just listening to you, you can, like we said, in the number of the billions, and you had the annuity store and you sold it. You've been doing this for 40 years. Why? Why do you continue to sit here to help agents? What is your why today? Why are you still?
I have a unique passion. First, I love to help people succeed. But my passion that drives me is a foundation. It's called the Gift of Gratitude McDermott Foundation, which we give back to active duty military and veterans. We also give back to first responders, peace officers. And what we have done is we created works of art, which we honor, support, and love on those who do give in defense of liberty. And we have created artwork by expressing our gifts of gratitude by honoring them with gifts of art. That's what we do with our foundation. That is my drive, and why I have the drive right now is to continue that. One of the biggest opportunities of this drive is helping with suicide prevention and ideation. One of our artworks that we use, and we have given out hundreds, if not thousands, is titled, "The Lord Has a Better Way." And it's the story of Elijah, the prophet from the Old Testament, out of 1 Kings 19, 4-8, where he literally states, "I want to die. Take my life, O Lord." In other words, he is asking to have his life taken. It happens to be the only prophet of the Old Testament or any time frame that has ever asked for his life to be taken. Think of what that must experience, that darkest hour for a prophet of God. Now, why is this artwork so valuable? It can be given to any religion. Muslims use this work of art. Rabbis use this work of art. Catholic priests use this work of art. Every Christian denomination, our cousin Christian denomination, anyone can use this work of art and this story. So we work with chaplains that are in the military for active duty. We work with the chaplains who are working with veterans. We work with federal chaplains. What is a federal chaplain, for example? Border Patrol. we present our artwork on suicide to the Border Patrol. We know what's happening right now with the Border Patrol. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent. We all know that something's happening there. Well, what's happening with suicide?
It's going up.
Going up. Mm-hmm. I work with civil chaplains. I work with health chaplains. I work with chaplains in hospitals. Suicide is a big concern. I have the opportunity and privilege with our artwork. We pay it forward. We have created 14 works of art, 12 of which are done. 2 more will be completed over the next 2 years. That's my why. That's my passion, to help others and uplift them, love on them. But one of the biggest one is to help with suicide prevention and ideation.
Now, Doug,
That's beautiful.
with that foundation, that is something that is your why.
That is
We've
my
got people, listeners out here who would like to help with this. That means something. I have my father, my grandfather, brother has received one of these pieces of art, or maybe they've served, and that means something to them. Does your foundation take contributions from outside?
You know, we started just doing that recently.
Okay.
And being able to have individuals donate so that they can help pay it forward to these active duty, these veterans or first responders or whomever, anyone who is in defense of liberty. That's our theme of uplifting, supporting, loving on, and actually presenting gifts of gratitude, which we do to do it through art. So we are.
And what's the website on that people can go look, learn, see the foundation, look at it?
www. Gift of Gratitude Foundation.
In this industry, especially starting out, it's hard to find the why. If someone is struggling to find their why, do you have advice?
Yeah. One of which is they're welcome to join our why and have a way to have a reason and be able to pay it forward and to help those who really need the help. Join our why.
I love that.
I do too. I really do too. So if folks want to contribute, if they want to help with that, if they've got a family member or something that might be appropriate for them, they can go onto the website, see it, make a contribution there, or just kind of see what's there and actually see images of all these wonderful pieces of art. I think it's amazing.
It really brings us together.
Mm-hmm.
It unites us. I think everyone can relate to suicide prevention. Someone in their family or a friend they know, someone in the military, armed forces. So I think that really hits close to home, and I think that's a beautiful message and something that we can all relate to, and it doesn't matter race, gender, religion, ethnicity, anything.
Everyone
it's
is
uniting.
a face to both of it, isn't it?
Yeah, and
there is no one single. It is everywhere
Yep.
throughout the world.
And I love the fact that as far as that, I mean, we've been blessed to be at your home. You showed them all to us, all the originals there. That the military and the service theme that is carried through all of them.
Yep.
And so it really is quite an amazing thing.
Well, thank you.
But thank you so much for taking the time
Appreciate
to visit us
it.
today.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Kylie and I would like to thank you for joining us today. We'd also like to thank our guest, Doug McDermott, for taking the time to visit with us. This is an amazing journey we've started together. We're going to have future events, future guests, and more episodes where we bring on the experts we talked about. If this is something that has interested you, we'd also like to invite you to check out our website, annuityfundamentals.com. The whole premise of that website is to help insurance agents become more successful. We've taken the 40-year system, this proven method that Doug has developed over the years, and made it the backbone of the organization. People that he has personally mentored and trained are going to be the ones showing you how to add annuities to your system. We'll go through showing you how to get contracted, how to use these very, very proven methods to get you selling annuities in just a matter of a few days, a week, 10 days. It's really fast, really straightforward. But thanks again for being with us today. We look forward to seeing you in the future.